Hey YouTube, just a quick update on the Ducati project this time. Done a few videos recently on the KTM, but yeah, the TT Replica Resto mod is still off at Ironcraft getting the fuel tank modified and the exhaust pipe modified. So plan is that it should be done sometime next week, which, you know, if it's done next week, great. If it's ended up being a bit longer, that's okay too. Yeah, just in the process of sort of trying to get it on wheels and get it moving. Those of you know, I have had it running on two different types of carbs. So some FCR 33s that I had, but then realized were too small. I posted a video, I think, at the start of the summer on those. Had a set of the BST carbs. Put a jet kit in those, got it running on those. It's more, I think the whole thing why it wasn't running previously or last year was more about electrical than carburation. But I got rid of the FCR 33s and of course came across these things. So those of you in the know who know what these things are, these are super rare, well, I wouldn't say rare, super expensive carburetors for Ducatis. They'll also fit a TRX 850 or a TDM 850, and if you live in the UK, you know what those are. But these are FCR flat slide carbs. These are the 41 millimeters, and it's been quite a journey, I guess, is a nice way to put it. I just thought there might be some people here who can sympathetically commiserate with me the gong show that has been these things. So I put some feelers out, said I was looking for a set. The going rate for a used set is about $850 US, and sometimes they come with bell mounts, sometimes they come with airbox adapters. But sure enough, Black Label Mechanica, which also trades under used Ducati parts on Facebook, I'd bought some stuff off them before, like new parts, some used parts. Always got good service. But the guy messaged me on Facebook and says, "Hey, I bought a bunch of Ducatis down in the States. I think Southern California, Arizona, something like that. One of them has a set of FCRs in it. You can have them $850." So I looked at the pictures online, and externally they looked pretty decent, and came with a throttle, which I wasn't going to use because I know I needed to make my own custom throttle, but looked like they were in good shape. There was a slight worry because I knew I could make the FCR 33s fit the frame. It's pretty tight on the one frame rail. I thought, you know, after I'd bought these, I thought, oh geez, you know, are they going to fit the 41s? But sure enough, they fit. So like they looked very clean from the outside. So I wouldn't say it was foolishly, but you know, you anticipate that if it's clean on the outside, this should be clean on the inside. So I slapped them on the bike, tried to get it started, wouldn't run very right, so did the typical, poked my nose inside the carburetor bell mouths and noticed that one of the accelerator pumps on this side here wasn't operating. And the neat thing is these also came with these adjustable air screws, which help because it's tough to get a screwdriver in there and adjust it when the bike is running or it's idling or the engine has just been run in. So, oh well, you know, I got to take it apart and clean this up. And I came across something that I've never seen ever in anything I've ever worked on a bike. And so you can kind of see it here, but what this is a tiny little steel rod. And I thought, well, maybe it's from what would you say, like from a wire brush or something like that. But believe it or not, the brass nipple on this float bowl was jammed solid with these, like absolutely jammed solid. Someone, because there's no way like natural flow of you know, fluid would have that you know, flowing through, like there's just no way. Someone had taken this hose off, jammed a bunch of metal rods in there. I'm not sure why for the life of you someone would ever do that, and put the hose back on there and then sold it. So if they were trying to you know, make a bike not run or make a bike run shitty or something like that. They certainly accomplished that. So that, okay, well, you know, and a few of them I was able to pull out when I took the hose off, took the float ball off. So of course, next step, compressed air. So I fire up the air compressor, 90 psi, try to fire them out, and a few come out, but not many of them. So then, you know, heat it up a bit. Maybe if they're steel, the aluminum body will expand quicker. Maybe it might loosen it up. So I heated that up with a little butane torch, blew some air through it. A bit more came out. But that's it. It was solid, and then there was like just minimal air, like you could blow on it, and minimal air would pass through, but not enough for fuel. So I got a bit ham-fisted, and I thought, okay, well, you know, I looked online, and these float bowls are available. So I you know, thought, well, if I really bugger it up, I can always order a new float bowl. So I start, you know, prying into this thing and trying to get it, and more of these little silver things come out, and this is the original brass nipple, and you can see, well, it's not on the carburetor anymore, and I think there's still a steel rod in there after I cut this off. Anyway, they were jammed, and so I thought, well, maybe if I put a fine drill down there and turned it a bit, it might loosen them up and I can draw them out. And no, they were in there solid. So this is bitched. So I go online and I find the right part number, and there's a bunch of different float bowls for these FCR carbs because they came in single, dual, threes, fours, downdraft, regular, whatever. But I went and I ordered float bowls, one float bowl plus a bunch of jets, because the jets had gotten kind of green and furry, from KeanFCR.com. So a guy down in, I don't know, southern United States again. So wait for them to come in. Yeah, he's got these float bowls in stock. Sends me a couple jets to kind of bring it back to standard, get some clean pilots, and sure enough, it comes in the mail, and it's the wrong float bowl. It's not this float bowl. It's a version of this float bowl with two brass spigots coming out in each end. So this is a float bowl for a bank of FCRs that's either triple or inline 4. Oh crap. So take some photos, email the guy back. Oh my God, it's my mistake. I can't believe I did that. Sorry. I'll get you the replacement. Meanwhile, and I gotta admit, like the guy at Key and FCR, I think he's trying to be an honest businessman, and he's not doing anything, you know, nefarious, for lack of a better term. But he's not the quickest person to return email. So I kind of got upset and like, okay, heck with this guy. If he's not going to return my email, I'll just return it. He's got to pay me back, and I'll get this float bowl from somewhere else. Well, in North America, all of these parts come out of Sudco eventually. Like if you've got a Sudco contract, that's where they come from. So I found the float bowl listed from a shop in Florida. Emailed these guys, placed my order online, of course, good old Visa on the internet. A day or so later, they emailed me back saying, well, this part number is no longer available from Sudco North America. If they are going to make new ones or order new ones, they need them in batches of 20. So they're 110 bucks US each, so I'm not going to buy 20. Oh shit. So meanwhile, I then look online, and Allen's Performance out of the UK claim they have one online. So this has all happened in the last 3 or 4 days. So what I ended up doing is reaching out to Key and FCR guy again and saying, look, I'm returning the wrong float bowl that's on this side. If you can get it, I'll take a new one of these, because this one, you know, it's cleaned up, but it's in fine shape. But I thought, oh, I'll get a brand new one, because it's going to be a straight across the shop exchange, and I've already paid for it anyway. And if he doesn't have one, or they're unavailable, then I'll just get my money back, because I have been able to recondition this one fairly good. Simple green, some vinegar, some CLR, bunch of soaking, a bunch of cleaning. I got most of the fuzz off it. So then I've paid my money to Allen's Performance out of the UK. That was about a week ago. They haven't, my PayPal payment has gone through. They haven't said they have it. They haven't said they have it in stock. They haven't said they've shipped it. So then I sent an email to them saying, hey, I've paid you, 74 of your best UK pounds. Like, is this even available? Nothing. So it's starting to piss me off. So then, I guess 2 or 3 days ago, I went back and attacked this thing again. And so what I ended up doing was that I very carefully drilled the brass piece out of this section of the carb. So it sits in this body here. Drilled it right out. I had a brass Y fitting that had, you can kind of see it there, it's slightly different than this, but it had, brass nipples in this side. So I drill it out, and then what I do is I take the brass and with a file and sandpaper, slowly file it down so it has a slight interference fit once I've drilled it out and cleaned it all out and blown it out and made sure there's no junk in there at all. So then I gingerly press this in, but it's not solid. So I press it in, and then I use good old JB Weld around the outside here. And set it in place, let it set and cure. So that was a couple days ago. Today I decided to put the float bowl back on just to see if it works in case I'm unable to find these parts new or used anywhere. And so what I ended up doing is I ran, first I hit the error line, made sure there was nothing in there, blew it out so it's clear, and ran seafoam through it. And seafoam's not a bad thing to use because whatever seafoam residue is still in the float bowl, it'll help protect it, and it's slightly less flammable than gasoline. And sure enough, filled the float bowls with seafoam, primed the accelerator pump a couple of times, and I'm getting a good solid squirt in both carburetors. So I think this will work. Time will tell whether or not JB Weld will hold this secure. I'm wondering if there's some combination of solder and flux that you might be able to solder that. But I don't know if you can solder brass to aluminum. I doubt it's possible. So it'll have to be JB Weld for now. So I'm pretty happy that I was able to repair this. There's not a big gloop of JB Weld in there, and it seems solid. But again, nothing I hate more than seeing a bike or anything with JB Weld on it, because it's a temporary bodge. It's not a permanent fix. So the thing is that if these float bowls are no longer available, I can just set a search on eBay and FCR float bowls and see what comes up. But again, even if you can find them, like this is about $130 US and this one's $110, so they're not cheap. So what the hell? If I can't find them, then I've saved a few hundred additional dollars that I hadn't anticipated spending. So what ended up happening is that when I went back to Black Label Mechanica and said, look, and I showed him some pictures, and the guy was a fairly stand-up fella. He thought, oh my God, like he should have checked it better. He gave me some money back off the purchase price, not half. He knocked $125 off the purchase price. So now the $850 carbs are now $725. I bought a new rebuild kit from Frank's MX parts out of the Netherlands, because it's the most complete kit, and even coming from Europe, shipping's cheaper. And then some new jets from Key and FCR. So I'm probably back up to over $850, but the carbs are rebuilt top to bottom. New gasket seals, bunch of leftover gaskets, new jets. This seems to hold. There's no sweating from around this, although time will tell, right? This is going to vibrate, but the accelerator pump works. New accelerator pump diaphragm, new accelerator pump spring, all that sort of stuff. So worst case scenario, I know the bike as it stands runs on the BSTs. It would be a shame to not have these FCRs work for one reason or the other. But again, if they don't work, and I can't see why they wouldn't, then I can turn around and sell these and get most of my money back. I don't know, but it's pretty frustrating. And if you've been doing this game long enough, you get to the point where you tally up your money. I don't calculate time, but you tally your money and your frustration, and you realize, crap, I should have just bought a new set at $1,300 US. I'm nowhere near that. I'm still ahead of the game from buying new, but anyway, it was sure a bit of a hassle. You know, the guys, you know, the Key and FCR, I don't know if you'll ever watch this video. Yeah, you seem to be an honest seller. I hope you get me my right parts when I mail them back to you in good faith, or refund me my money. But you could check your email a bit more often, buddy. And I guess Black Label Mechanica, you're buying used carburetor parts. Don't ever assume that just because the outside's clean, the inside's clean too. So anyway, he's giving me some money back, and I think he's trying to make it right. But yeah, these are good to go. Now just waiting for the bike to get done and back to me, and we can fire up again. So anyway, not the most exciting video, but carburetor trials and tribulations. Like and subscribe.